We talked earlier about the cost components, the failure of the prevention costs and the failure costs, which is really whether you fail within or fail outside. If you think about it, if you spend $1 towards prevention, what industry has seen, some of the statistics that we've seen, is that it costs you $10 if you have to fix that problem when it's a defect. And it costs you $100 when that defect is rolled out as part of the packaged product. And this is not a software industry example. It's an example across all manufacturing, whether it's software or manufacturing in the true sense of the industry. That is why investing in quality is very important. The cost of conforming and the investment that you have to make in making sure that your product conforms and meets the requirements is far less than what happens once it goes out. And think about the reputation. When you think about companies like Apple, when you think about companies like Mercedes, they're associated with high quality. And there's a reason for that. It's because, not just because they've been in the business for a number of years and they've matured their practices over the number of years, but it's because they believe in high quality. They have a culture. Somebody asked a question about how do you instill that culture? And Dr. Ghosh talked about you've got to get it from the top. Absolutely. You've got to have culture instilled from the top. But there's also mechanisms that you need to create within the organization to bring about that culture. One of those mechanisms that we use at Deloitte is there's no shame in failure. And what that does is it really allows people to take risks. And if, today I was reading an article before I came out here, I think it was the Economic Times, and they talked about Steve Jobs' last day and he's retired. And they talked about why he was as good as he was, or as he is. It's primarily because of his penchant towards taking risks. If we don't take those risks, and if we don't put our neck on the line and say, we're going to innovate, and we're going to do certain things to improve, and not take status quo as the rule of life, and really think about how we can change things, this would be it. You have to create an organization which allows people to think freely and do things. But of course, you've got to have the right checks and balances. You can't let people just go crazy. But at the same time, you've got to create that culture from within what an Apple would have created or a Google would have created, to allow people to innovate and allow people to do things that bring creativity and innovation that we talked about in the previous slide when Dr. Ghosh had it. Those are the types of things that allow us to be more creative. So I don't want to take any more time, but to kind of wrap up, I'll be happy to take any questions. But my closing thought, what I'd like to say is always think about the cost of quality when you're thinking about your software development activities. Because the last thing you want to do is not factor that in to the process. And building a mature organization, building mature processes, building those tools, capabilities, allow you to do that. But a very important aspect is not just the processes and not just the tools, but you've got to enable your people as well. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions. And that commitment, and one of our quality leads, Sumita Hari, is here as well. I know she's going to talk about some of her experiences. But it's that commitment from the leadership level that results in that culture being pervasive throughout the organization. And that commitment is not just, we're going to measure quality and we're going to make sure we do the right things. It's an investment, right? It's not just a commitment in terms of lip service, but it's an investment that you make because there is additional checkpoints, the additional quality gates, the additional investments in process definitions, in tools, etc. that are required to make quality a reality when it comes out. The second part to it, which is a corollary, is it's always hard to get that investment up front. Because most often, management doesn't, and that's why the topic I thought was important in terms of understanding the cost of quality, which is actually, if you look at it, it's understanding of the cost of not having good quality. Right? Most people don't get that. Most people at management, they think about the investment they've got to make and really nothing to show for return, except the customer is happy. But how much would top CEOs pay to make customers happy today? I would say a lot. Right? The tough part of that journey, and I'm amused with it because Sumita is right here, because I know she went through that in our organization. The tough part of the journey is getting that commitment and is getting the top management to understand what is the cost of not conforming. What is the cost to your reputation? And forget the penalties, forget the anything else that unfavorable that might come out of. You may take a loss on the contract, but forget that. Think about the reputation. Think about not having a client who's not a good referral. To me, that's the real cost. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, my name is Sajid. I'm from Siemens. Can you share one experience where you have reduced the cost of quality or improved the cost of quality based on high maturity practices you have implemented in your organization?
I think today, where we are, after several years of having gone through our journey, I would say almost every project of ours has a benefit because of the quality investments that we make, because of the maturity of our practices. I don't think there is a single project that doesn't follow the guidelines. And that's part, again, if you think about the CMM, we are a CMM level 5 organization as well. And if you think about, at the level 5, you not only have a process, not only does everybody know what those processes are, but they follow it and it's repeatable and you focus on continuous improvement. So if that were true, every project of ours actually goes through that entire cycle. Every project, all our people, and the thing that you bring up is more important and slightly tangential to what the question you asked, is what is the attrition level in India today, in the software industry? Let me just throw out numbers. 15, 18, 20%? It's significantly high. It's all the more important that we focus on the quality investments and the maturity investments, because you always have a flow of people who are coming in from various organizations and they don't speak the same language. I guarantee you, and Dr. Ghosh may have the same from us, because we do hire people from each other. And it's always hard when you get somebody from Accenture or from IBM or from any other place, for that matter, and get them to work. It's not just important that they have that skill level, but it's important that they understand and they speak the same language, even though that they sit next to each other. They follow the same processes. They are aware of it. They know what are the important steps as part of the whole journey. So I think all of these things really matter, and it's really important for that very reason, especially because of the churn that we all have. It's more important to focus on maturing some of those practices and making sure that the end results are good.
Thank you, Afzal.
Thanks.
No, I have just one more question, maybe up here, right here.